Have you ever felt that sudden, sharp realization that the world just changed right under your feet? Well, mark your calendars because March 30th, 2026 is officially the day the professional camera industry felt a massive, icy chill down its spine. We are coming to you live with the biggest news from Beijing, China, where Vivo just pulled the curtain back on a device that isn't just a phone, it's a total revolution. The Vivo X300 Ultra has arrived, and let me tell you, the global tech world is absolutely reeling from what just went down on that stage. For years, we've heard the promises that mobile photography would eventually catch up to those massive, heavy professional rigs, but it always felt like a distant dream. Today, that maybe turned into a definitive now that no one can ignore. The atmosphere inside the venue in Beijing was like a tech Met Gala. You had the absolute elite of the tech world, famous influencers, and industry veterans all packed into one high-energy space, holding their breath as the lights dimmed. When the words Vivo X300 Ultra finally flashed across the massive screens, the roar from the crowd was completely deafening. It wasn't just about a new model number or a slightly faster processor this time around. The Ultra moniker isn't just marketing fluff anymore. It's an absolute statement of technological dominance. Can you even imagine carrying an entire cinematic production studio in your pocket? We aren't talking about good for a phone quality here. We are talking about images and videos that make you seriously question why anyone would ever lug around a $5,000 camera body and a heavy bag full of lenses ever again. The moment the official specifications and that jaw-dropping price finally hit the screen, social media didn't just trend, it practically exploded. Weibo was melting under the weight of millions of frantic posts, and tech forums from London to New York were lit up with people trying to wrap their heads around what Vivo just achieved. It was a viral storm like we haven't seen in many years. Everyone was asking the same burning question. Did Vivo just checkmate the establishment? You know exactly who I'm talking about. Those giant traditional rivals like Samsung and Apple who have played it safe for far too long. Suddenly, they aren't the ones setting the pace for the future. They are looking over their shoulders, wondering how on earth they're going to respond to this massive technological leap. This device is designed to bridge that historical gap between a smartphone and a high-end DSLR. It's a bridge built of premium glass, cutting-edge sensors, and artificial intelligence that feels like it was sent back from 5 years in the future. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. I want to know where the hype is hitting hardest. Now back to the action. While the X300 Ultra was the star of the show, Vivo didn't come empty-handed. They also introduced the X300s, the reliable sibling for those wanting top-tier tech without going full professional, and a brand new Vivo tablet hailed as a productivity beast. It's a whole new ecosystem designed to make our current tech feel like ancient history. However, let's be real, everyone was there for the Ultra. There is a specific kind of magic happening under that lens that has professional photographers looking very nervous. Rumors were swirling for weeks about the sensor size, but the reality is even more shocking than the leaks suggested. Is it actually worth the massive hype, or is this just some incredibly clever marketing from the geniuses at Vivo? We've seen big claims before, but the side-by-side comparisons shown on the big screen were making jaws drop in unison. We are talking about detail preservation at distances that shouldn't be physically possible on a device this thin. It's like they found a way to bend the laws of physics just to get that perfect, crystal clear shot. Think about it for a second. If your phone took better photos than a heavy camera, would you ever bother carrying a heavy bag again? Would you deal with the hassle of switching lenses if your pocket could do it all? That's the question Vivo is forcing everyone to answer today. But wait until you see the actual hardware specs, because the sensor size is something the competition didn't see coming. It's massive, hungry for light, and about to change how we see the world. Stay tuned, because we are just scratching the surface of this Beijing bombshell, and the deeper we go, the more insane it gets. So let's talk about the absolute star of the show, the one everyone is currently losing their minds over, the Vivo X300 Ultra. In this massive 2026 lineup, this phone isn't just a participant, it is the undisputed alpha. When you see it sitting there on the pedestal under the bright cinematic lights of the Beijing venue, you quickly realize it is playing in a completely different league. It's like the heavyweight champion of the world just walked into a room full of middleweights and didn't even have to say a word to command respect. But every great lead character needs a solid supporting cast to make them shine even brighter, right? That is exactly where the Vivo X300s comes into the picture. Think of the X300s as the reliable sibling in the family. It is the phone for the person who wants that sleek, premium Vivo DNA and incredible day-to-day performance without necessarily needing to shoot a high-budget Hollywood blockbuster on their morning commute. It's powerful, it's beautiful, and it absolutely holds its own in a crowd, but its main job during the launch event was to provide the perfect contrast to the raw, unfiltered power of the Ultra. It's a great device, don't get me wrong. But next to the Alpha, it feels like a very fast car parked next to a literal rocket ship. And we certainly can't forget the new Vivo tablet, which the presenters were proudly calling the productivity beast. It's designed to be the ultimate companion for the Ultra, creating an ecosystem that feels seamless and incredibly futuristic. If the X300 Ultra is the creative heart of the brand, then the tablet is definitely the professional brain. But even with these impressive gadgets flanking it on stage, the Ultra remained the center of gravity for the entire event. It's fascinating to see how Vivo has positioned these devices. By making the X300s and the tablet so high-end and impressive on their own, they've managed to push the Ultra into a category that feels almost supernatural. It's like they're saying to the world, look at how good our standard gear is. Now just imagine what the Alpha can do when it really starts to flex its muscles. While the crowd in Beijing was cheering and clapping, you could almost feel the tension radiating across the ocean toward the establishment. You know exactly who I'm talking about. Those traditional tech giants like Samsung and Apple that have dominated the global charts for decades. For a very long time, they were the ones everyone else tried to copy or catch up to. But now, oh, how the tables have turned in a huge way. Rumor has it that the executive suites in Cupertino and Seoul are currently in full-blown crisis mode. They are looking at these Chinese launch specs and realizing that the safe incremental updates they've been pushing out for years just won't cut it anymore. Vivo isn't just knocking on the door of the elite. They've kicked it right off the hinges and invited themselves to the head of the table. This is a silent war for the soul of the smartphone industry. But the shots being fired are 200 megapixels loud. The vibe at the launch was unlike anything I've ever seen in years of covering tech. It really was a tech Met Gala. We're talking about the absolute creme de la creme of Chinese tech elites, global influencers who flew in from all over the world just for this 1 hour of power, and industry veterans who have seen every single release since the first smartphone. But even the most cynical, hard-to-impress critics were leaning forward in their seats with their jaws dropped. There was this electric buzz in the air, a collective sense that we were all witnessing a historical pivot point for the entire mobile industry. You could see people frantically typing on their phones, trying to be the first to post the Ultra's design to Weibo, which was already crashing under the sheer volume of global traffic. It was pure, unadulterated chaos in the best way possible. How did we even get to this point? If you look back at Vivo's journey over the last decade, it's actually a pretty wild story of persistence and grit. A few years ago, they were seen as a strong contender, as a brand that made great phones but maybe didn't have that kingly aura yet. But they didn't stop. They invested billions into research and development. They sought out the best optics legends to partner with for their glass, and they focused on one single obsessive goal: becoming the undisputed king of mobile photography. And on March 30th, 2026, that journey reached its ultimate peak. They aren't just participating in the global market anymore. They are the ones defining where it goes next. The X300s might be the perfect choice for your average user who just wants a great, smooth experience, but the Ultra is something else entirely. It has a secret tucked away under that massive, shimmering glass lens that is literally changing the rules of the physics game for professional photographers. We are talking about a piece of hardware that makes the pros feel a little bit shaky about their expensive gear choices. Are you ready to dive into the actual specs that are making the competition sweat through their suits? Because what's happening inside that camera module is nothing short of a scientific miracle. Keep your eyes peeled, because things are about to get very, very detailed. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of why the tech world is currently having a collective meltdown. We need to talk about the absolute eye of the beast. When you look at the back of the Vivo X300 Ultra, that massive, shimmering circular camera module isn't just a design choice. It's a statement of total dominance. Inside that glass sits a 200 megapixel main sensor that is, frankly, quite terrifying in its capabilities. We aren't just talking about a high pixel count for the sake of marketing here. We are talking about a window to reality that captures details your naked eye might actually struggle to process. Can you imagine capturing the fine microscopic textures of a butterfly's wing from several feet away, or the subtle grain of a vintage watch face with perfect clarity? Most smartphones treat light like a vague suggestion, but the X300 Ultra treats light like a sacred masterpiece. The physical sensor size is so massive that it actually challenges everything we thought we knew about mobile design. It is incredibly hungry for light, devouring every single photon it can find to deliver images that look like they were pulled straight from a professional gallery or a high-end fashion magazine. It's the kind of hardware that makes you wonder if the establishment over at Samsung and Apple is currently looking at their own blueprints and wondering where they went wrong. But as impressive as that main sensor is, it's only the beginning of the story. The periscope power on this device is where things move from impressive to completely unbelievable. We've all been there. You try to zoom in at a concert or a sports game, and the image quickly dissolves into a pixelated mess that looks like a watercolor painting left out in the rain. It's frustrating, right? Well, that frustration is officially a thing of the past. We are seeing detail preservation at zoom distances that honestly shouldn't be physically possible on a device that fits in your pocket. Is it spy-level clarity? Some of the tech elites whispering in the halls of the Beijing event were saying you could practically read a license plate from across a football stadium. While that might sound like hyperbole, looking at the live demos on the big screen, it didn't feel like an exaggeration at all. It's the kind of technology that has private investigators and wildlife photographers looking over their shoulders, wondering if their heavy kits are about to become obsolete. So what exactly is the secret sauce making all of this magic happen? It all comes down to the glass and the specialized coatings developed with those unnamed optics legends we keep hearing about. This partnership is Vivo's ace in the hole. They've managed to create lens coatings that specifically target and eliminate the ultimate enemies of mobile photography: flares and ghosting. You know those annoying green dots and light streaks that ruin your perfect sunset shots? Those are gone. The colors being produced are being described by early testers as deliciously accurate, providing a natural cinematic warmth that most digital processing usually strips away in favor of artificial sharpness. It's this perfect marriage of high-end hardware and sophisticated software that creates that professional look without needing you to spend 3 hours in an editing suite afterward. And we absolutely have to talk about the video revolution happening here. It's not just about still photos anymore. The X300 Ultra is being hailed as the YouTuber's dream. We are looking at a full 8K cinematic mode equipped with AI tracking that stays locked on your subject like a heat-seeking missile. Whether you are filming a fast-moving car on a track or a hyperactive puppy in the park, the focus remains buttery smooth and incredibly precise. The natural depth of field effect is so convincing that you'd swear there was a physical aperture moving inside the phone's chassis. It's the kind of tool that levels the playing field for independent creators. You don't need a massive crew or a van full of expensive gear anymore. You just need this alpha device and a story to tell. Even before the curtains rose in Beijing, the leaked benchmarks were already setting the global tech forums on fire. Internal testing scores that surfaced just days before the launch showed that the X300 Ultra didn't just pass the standard industry tests. It literally broke the scale. It was outperforming specialized hardware and making the current king flagships look like relics from a bygone era. At first, the internet was skeptical, with many calling the leaks too good to be true or clever marketing hype. But seeing it perform live on stage, every single doubt was instantly silenced. The numbers don't lie, and the performance confirmed what everyone in that room was feeling. We are officially standing at the dawn of a brand new era of mobile power. But here is the million-dollar question. A world-class camera is completely useless if the phone dies in the middle of a shoot or starts lagging the second you hit the record button, isn't it? You can have all the megapixels in the world, but if the brain of the device can't keep up with the sheer volume of data, it's just a very pretty, very expensive paperweight. So what exactly is happening under that sleek premium hood to keep this beast running at peak performance? Well, you might want to brace yourselves because the internal specs are just as insane as the cameras. Wait until you hear about the processor and cooling system Vivo tucked away inside, because the Alpha is hiding a level of raw power that is basically pure lightning trapped in silicon. Are you ready to see what actually makes this supercomputer tick? Because things are about to get very fast and very hot, metaphorically speaking, of course. So we've established that the camera on this device is an absolute monster, but let's be real for a second. None of that incredible photography or cinematic video really matters if the phone's brain is stuck in the past. To handle that much raw data without breaking a sweat, you need something truly legendary under the hood. Enter the heartbeat of the Vivo X300 Ultra, the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5. Now, calling this a mobile processor feels like a bit of an insult to the engineering team. This isn't just a chip, it is pure, unadulterated lightning trapped in a tiny sliver of silicon. When you're dealing with a 200 megapixel sensor and 8K AI tracking, the math happening behind the scenes every second is enough to make a normal computer start smoking. But the X300 Ultra, it doesn't even blink. It's the kind of power that makes you feel like you're holding a piece of the future, something that shouldn't technically exist for another 5 years. Can you even imagine the level of optimization required to make that happen? Think about the most demanding games you know. We're talking about the heavy hitters, like the rumored Genshin Impact 3 or those hyper-realistic open-world titles that usually turn a regular smartphone into a handheld space heater. We've all seen it. The frame rates start to drop, the screen gets dim to save itself from melting, and suddenly your epic boss fight looks like a laggy slideshow. Well, those days are officially dead and buried. The X300 Ultra treats these games like a light warm-up exercise. You're getting what enthusiasts are calling gaming god mode levels of performance here. We're talking maximum settings, peak brightness, and a frame rate so stable it looks like a pre-rendered movie. There is zero lag, zero stutter, and absolutely no compromise on visual quality. It's a total dream come true for anyone who takes mobile gaming seriously, turning every session into a professional grade experience that fits right in the palm of your hand. But here's the mystery that had everyone at the Beijing launch event scratching their heads. How does a phone this thin, packed with all this heavy-duty hardware, not actually melt through your hand? High-performance chips usually generate a ton of heat, especially when you're pushing them to the absolute limit for hours. Vivo's answer is a cooling system that sounds like it was ripped straight out of a high-end sci-fi novel. They've implemented a state-of-the-art vapor chamber technology that early testers are describing as AC for your processor. It's a massive internal cooling plate that whisks heat away from the core components faster than you can say thermal throttling. Even after an hour of intense 4K video editing or back-to-back gaming rounds, the device remains shockingly cool to the touch. It's this invisible engineering that allows the Alpha to maintain its top-tier speeds without ever needing to slow down to catch its breath. And let's talk about the sheer room this phone has to breathe. We're hearing reports of configurations featuring a massive 16GB or even a staggering 24GB of RAM. Just let that sink in for a moment. Most laptops people use for work struggle with that much memory. This transforms the X300 Ultra into a pocket-sized supercomputer. You can literally be editing a high bitrate video project, have 20 different browser tabs open, and jump into a heavy game without the phone even thinking about closing a single background app. It's multitasking magic at its finest. You never have to worry about losing your progress or waiting for an app to reload from scratch. Everything is just there. Instant, snappy, exactly how a flagship in 2026 should feel. The establishment is definitely watching this closely, because this level of fluidity is something they've been struggling to perfect for years. Of course, all that raw power would be frustrating if the software felt clunky or outdated, but Vivo has paired this hardware with the latest version of Origin OS. And let me tell you, it is being described as smoother than silk. The animations are fluid, the response times are near instant, and the way it handles those massive camera files is nothing short of breathtaking. It's a software experience that finally feels like it's keeping up with the insane hardware it lives on. But as we all know, performance like this usually comes with a massive cost. Pushing a Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 to its limits while running a massive 200 megapiece sensor and a bright, high refresh rate screen is a recipe for a dead battery in minutes, right? Well, that's where the conversation gets really interesting. Performance is one thing, but how long does this beast actually last? The battery stats and the charging rumors coming out of the Chinese tech forums are causing some serious debate online. Are we looking at a phone that lives as hard as it plays? Or is there a catch to all this power? Wait until you hear about the juice stats, because the battery gossip is about to get wild. Now, let's talk about the one thing that usually kills the absolute vibe of a high-end flagship, the dreaded low battery notification. We've all been there, haven't we? You're out in the middle of a stunning landscape, the lighting is hitting just right, You've got your Vivo X300 Ultra ready to capture a cinematic masterpiece, and suddenly, blink, that red bar appears. It's the ultimate buzzkill for any creator. But Vivo clearly anticipated this battery anxiety and decided to go absolutely nuclear with the power specs this time around. Rumors floating around the Beijing event suggest we're looking at a massive 6,000 mAh high-density battery tucked inside that slim frame. And we aren't talking about your typical lithium-ion block either. This is likely a cutting-edge silicon-carbon cell, a piece of tech that allows them to cram way more capacity into a much thinner profile than ever before. For the power user, this is basically a dream come true. You can spend the entire morning shooting 4K video, the afternoon multitasking like a pro across 20 different apps, and still have enough juice to survive a long commute home without eyeing every wall outlet like a predator. It's built for people who actually live their lives through their lens, not just those who let their phone sit on a desk. But okay, let's say you actually managed to drain this monster. What then? Well, this is where the charging scandal comes into play. And I call it a scandal because it's honestly unfair to the rest of the industry. The charging speeds on the X300 Ultra are so fast, they're almost scary to witness in person. We're talking about a wired charging system that can take you from a dead phone to a full 100% in about the time it takes you to jump in and out of a quick shower and get dressed. Imagine waking up, realizing you forgot to plug in your phone overnight, and by the time you finished your morning coffee and found your car keys, the Alpha is already back at full strength and ready to tackle the day. It's a total game changer for anyone with a busy lifestyle. And the wireless situation? It's even more insulting to the establishment. The X300 Ultra's wireless charging speeds are reportedly faster than what the giants like Samsung or Apple offer with a physical cable. While those other brands are still patting themselves on the back for 20 or 30 watts, Vivo is out here pushing limits that make you wonder if their engineering team discovered some kind of alien energy source. Of course, all that high-tech internal hardware has to live inside something equally impressive, and Vivo certainly didn't skimp on the aesthetics. This phone isn't just a tool. It's a luxury object that demands to be seen. When you pick it up, the first thing you notice isn't the weight, but the incredible texture. There's been a lot of buzz about the premium materials they've used, specifically the high-grade vegan leather options that were showcased at the Beijing launch. It gives the device this incredible tactile grip that reminds you of a professional camera body from the old school. It feels expensive, it feels intentional, and for those who prefer something a bit more modern, the aerospace grade glass back is designed to be incredibly tough while refracting light in a way that makes the phone look like it's glowing from the inside. It's the kind of craftsmanship that makes you want to keep it out of a case, even though your brain tells you that's a risky move. But here's the big question people are asking. Is it too big? With a 200mm sensor and a 6,000 mAh battery, you'd expect this thing to be a literal brick in your pocket. However, the ergonomics are surprisingly well balanced. The engineers clearly spent a lot of time obsessing over the weight distribution between that massive camera module and the rest of the body. Even though the camera module is undeniably massive, I mean, it's basically its own planet on the back of the phone, the device sits comfortably in your palm. Compared to its reliable sibling with the X300s, it's definitely a handful of tech, but it's a perfectly balanced one. It doesn't feel top heavy when you're typing or lopsided when you're trying to take a quick one-handed selfie. It's a masterclass in industrial design that proves you don't have to sacrifice physical comfort just to have access to top-tier power. But wait, we have to talk about the reality of owning a beast like this. With all these features, the insane camera, the supercomputer processor, the monster battery, and the luxury build, the price should be astronomical, right? Most of us are bracing for a number that would make our bank accounts cry for mercy. Is the Vivo X300 Ultra actually going to be affordable for the average enthusiast, or is it strictly reserved for the tech elites who attended that glamorous Beijing event? Let's look at how it actually stacks up against the competition and if it's actually a deal or just another ultra expensive toy for the wealthy. Trust me, the pricing strategy Vivo is using to shake up the global market is already sparking some very heated debates across Weibo and the international forums. Are you ready for the numbers? Because the reactions are getting very spicy. Weibo is absolutely on fire right now. The very second those final pricing slides hit the massive screens in Beijing, the digital world went into a complete, unadulterated meltdown. You've got top-tier tech bloggers who were actually at the launch event, sitting in the front rows of what everyone is now calling the Tech Met Gala, And their social feeds are a chaotic blur of high-res photos and mind-blown emojis. It is wild to see the massive divide forming in real time across every tech forum and comment section. On one side, you have the die-hard Vivo fans who are practically ascending to another plane of existence because they feel their favorite brand just pulled off the hardware heist of the century. They're calling the X300 Ultra the Alpha for a reason, and trust me, they aren't letting anyone forget it. They see this device as the ultimate middle finger to the establishment, proving you don't need a legacy name like Apple or Samsung to define what a premium smartphone should look and feel like in 2026. But then you have the other side of the fence, the skeptics and the vocal haters. The comment sections have become a literal battlefield of opinions. Some users are pointing at that massive protruding camera module and asking, is this even a phone anymore? Or did someone just accidentally glue a screen to a professional DSLR? The meme culture is already working overtime, and some of the stuff coming out is pure digital gold. I've already seen hilarious photoshopped images of people trying to fit the X300 Ultra into their skinny jeans, only for the camera bump to rip through the fabric like a tech-infused xenomorph. It's not a phone with a camera, it's a camera with a phone attached. Seems to be the catchphrase of the hour. And you know what? People aren't necessarily wrong to be shocked by the size. But that's exactly why this device is so polarizing. It's bold, it's loud, and it refuses to be ignored by anyone with a pulse. Then come the inevitable comparison wars. And oh boy, they are getting nasty. The debate over whether the Ultra is actually better than the upcoming S26 Ultra or the iPhone 17 Pro Max is reaching a fever pitch that we haven't seen in years. Fans of the establishment are clinging desperately to their ecosystems, arguing that specs aren't everything and software optimization is king. But the Vivo crowd is firing back with those leaked benchmarks and the actual photo samples from the event that look like they belong in a high-end fashion magazine. It's like a gladiatorial match where the weapons are pixels and zoom ratios. People are literally zooming in on tiny strands of cat fur and distant skyscrapers just to prove a point about detail retention. Can your overpriced phone do this? Is being shouted from the rooftops, and the silence from the rival camps is getting a little awkward. And we can't talk about the frenzy without talking about the price. When the numbers finally flashed on that giant screen, and there was this collective gasp you could hear through the live stream audio, for some the price is a slap in the face, a sign that Vivo has finally become one of them, charging premium prices that make your wallet ache. They're worried the era of the flagship killer is officially dead. But then you have the professionals, the photographers and videographers looking at that 200 megapixel sensor and thinking, wait, this is actually a bargain. If this phone can truly replace a $5,000 professional camera setup, then spending $1,200 or more suddenly feels like a steal. It's all about perspective. Are you buying a phone that takes photos, or are you buying a professional creative tool that happens to make phone calls? Even with all this chaos, there's one huge question hanging over everyone's head like a heavy, mysterious cloud. The rumors about a global launch are getting incredibly spicy, and the anticipation is turning into an obsession for tech enthusiasts worldwide. Will we ever see the X300 Ultra officially hitting the shelves in Europe, India, or the Americas? Or is this going to be one of those legendary forbidden fruits we only admire from a distance, while we pay triple for shipping and import taxes? Whispers from internal sources suggest Vivo might be planning something truly massive for the international market, something that could finally take the crown away from the traditional giants. But wait until you hear the latest theories on how they plan to pull it off, because the next chapter might be the most shocking one yet. Everyone outside of mainland China is currently staring at their screens with a mix of intense envy and desperate hope. And honestly, can you blame them? The question on everyone's lips right now isn't really about whether the phone is good. We've already established that it's an absolute monster, but rather, when can I actually get my hands on one? The rumors about the Vivo X300 Ultra hitting European and Indian markets are reaching a fever pitch that's almost impossible to ignore. Insiders are whispering about a massive international rollout that would see Vivo finally taking the global crown that has eluded them for so long. Can you even imagine the scenes? The moment this thing officially lands in London, Berlin, or Delhi, the establishment is going to have a very serious, very expensive problem on its hands. We are talking about a total shift in the power dynamic of the entire mobile industry. If Vivo can solve the logistics and bring this alpha to the global stage with full software support, the reign of the traditional giants might be coming to a very abrupt and very noisy end. This isn't just about one single phone launch. It's about the massive ripple effect it's creating across the whole tech world. The 200 LP war has officially begun, and there is absolutely no turning back now. Because of what happened in Beijing on March 30th, every other manufacturer is now being forced to innovate or risk becoming irrelevant. You can bet your last dollar that the secret labs at Apple and Samsung are in a total state of emergency right now. They can't just release another incremental update with a slightly faster chip and a new shade of titanium anymore. Not when the X300 Ultra is out here basically offering a cinematic studio that fits comfortably in your pocket. The partnership with those unnamed optics legends has set a new gold standard for what mobile glass should be, forcing the entire industry to look at lenses and sensors in a completely different light. This is the kind of aggressive competition that we, the users, absolutely live for. It pushes the boundaries of what's possible and makes the tech we carry every day feel like actual magic again. But wait, it's not just about the hardware flex, is it? We have to look at how Vivo plans to support this beast in the long run. There is a lot of talk about the future of Origin OS and how it will evolve alongside this powerful hardware. Speculation suggests that Vivo is aiming for record-breaking software support, ensuring that the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 stays as snappy and responsive in 4 years as it is today. And let's not forget the broader ecosystem. While the Ultra is the undisputed star, the new Vivo tablet is clearly designed to be its perfect partner, the productivity beast to the Ultra's creative king. Seeing how these devices interact, sharing high-res files, and syncing tasks is going to be a total game changer for people who live their lives on the move. Even the reliable sibling or the X300s plays its part by making this incredible technology accessible to the average user who doesn't need every single professional bell and whistle. So here's the final verdict, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. Is the Vivo X300 Ultra the phone of the year only 3 months into 2026? It certainly looks that way from where I'm standing. It has the raw power, the artistic soul, and that wow factor that has been sorely missing from the flagship scene for a while. It's bold, it's unapologetic, and it's clearly built for people who refuse to settle for good enough. Whether it's the insane periscope zoom, the lightning-fast charging, or that gorgeous luxury build, everything about this device screams premium quality. It's more than just a smartphone. It's a statement of intent from a brand that is no longer satisfied with being just a contender. They want the throne, and they aren't asking for permission to take it. But hey, now I really want to hear your unfiltered thoughts. Would you actually drop $1,200 on this absolute unit, or are you sticking with your current brand out of pure loyalty? Is that massive camera module a total deal breaker for you, or is the promise of professional grade photos just too tempting to pass up? I'm reading every single comment. So let's get the discussion going down below. And look, if you want to stay ahead of the tech curve and be the first to know when those global version dates finally leak, you know exactly what to do. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, or you're gonna miss the biggest leaks of the year. This journey is just starting, and I'm so glad you're here for it. Stay techie, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.